welcome everybody. So, before I get into these really interesting buffs and changes, which I will be explaining in just a moment, I want to quickly clarify for anybody who's new here and just happened to click on this video, or if you just yet to do so, to indeed check out the description below. There is a link to the very same Google Sheets that I use in all my videos, and most importantly, you can check out this tab here on the bottom that says Search All Moves here, and you can and should be checking out all of the extensive move buffs and changes in this hack. Basically, every move is buffed or changed, and there's 130 plus custom new ones, so definitely give those a look. But with that being said, we've got Manaphy and Phione. There's a lot of really interesting things that might come off as controversial here. And actually, before I address Phione evolving into Manaphy, I'm first going to talk about the stats, because that might actually bother people, or they might initially they might see the red and be like, oh my god, it's nerfed. It is not. Manaphy is essentially still 600 base stat total. It didn't lose, even if it did lose base stats, the abilities more than make up for it, but it didn't actually lose base stat total because its attack was just halved to 50. So something I've been doing for all of the Pixie legendaries, bar Mew, is changing their stats around to make more sense, because it's always bothered me ever since I was a kid that the Pixies have 100 in all their stats. It doesn't make any fucking sense. They should not be that bulky. They should not be that strong. Their special attack can be higher. Some of them can even be faster. But for the most part, like, their HP especially should not be base 100. I've been trying to base HP a lot more on size in this hack, and these guys are tiny little babies. You know, they're little guys. So, you know, I just don't like how high that HP was. That bothered me a lot. Okay, that was the main concern there. So that being addressed, though, yes, he didn't actually lose base stat total, though, because if you add the 100 attack back, he's still at 600. I just rearranged the stats around. And even if he did, the abilities and move pool more than make up for that. But with that being said, yes, Phione now optionally evolves into Manaphy. This is a pretty common thing that people will say. Phione will be obtained probably as the daycare egg, so that's pretty early. That's in Akala Island, and that'll be very good for Akala Island. I mean, not that crazy. It's really tanky, and it's pretty decently strong, but there's a lot of crazier stuff you can get for Akala Island. It's nothing too insane at all. But the main draw of Manaphy is that it can hold a Violite. So it has 65, 85, 135 bulk, but with a Violite that becomes absolutely incredible. And I don't know the exact base stat equivalent, that I'm way too lazy to calc it mid video, but it's very high. That's all you gotta know. HP is a bit lackluster, but that defense, and most importantly that special defense, even uninvested, that special defense is sky high with a Violite. So you can actually invest all into HP and defense, or HP and special attack, and, you know, go to town with that. Your abilities are essentially mirroring what vanilla Manaphy used to do. So your pure water, I did have Water Fairy at one point in development, but I figured it's a little bit too similar to Love Disc, who was also like a tanky utility type Water Fairy type with a Violite. I felt like it was too similar, so it doesn't make that much sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, it fits, but, you know, pure water is also totally fitting for them, and it's arguably a better typing anyways for defensive Phione. So Phione is purely defensive. In fact, Phione and Manaphy, not purely, but it's mostly defensive. It still has great setup options like Power Glow and Acid Armor, but I'll get into those in a little bit. Calm Mind, all that fun stuff. But the main lure of Phione is the pure typing in conjunction with the bulk, okay? Manaphy is all about offense. Manaphy is much less bulky than Phione because it has the same exact stats besides special attack. Special attack was given plus 50. That's the only difference between their stats. So essentially you're trading off massive bulk for massive power. It's a pretty fair trade-off. It's a very fair trade-off even, because your abilities at Manaphy are absolutely incredible, and it has the Water Psychic typing. I actually think Water Fairy fits more, for the record, but I was talking with my friends who, you know, they helped me and give me input on changes, and they were arguing for Water Psychic. And I'm not saying I disagree. I see that the logic for Water Psychic, because Heart Swap used to be a Psychic move, but that's, in my opinion, that's just because there was no fucking Fairy typing back then, because the move would totally have been Fairy typed if they had came out later. Regardless, though, both of those fit pretty fine. Like, I know it has Psychic powers and stuff, so it fits Water Psychic as well. Or Pure Water. Honestly, I was considering keeping it, but overlap-wise, that causes a lot of issues because there are other Pure Water types that drizzle, like Vaporeon and Simipour and stuff, and Wailord. There's a lot of them already, so I wanted to minimize even more overlap. Not to mention adaptability is better with dual stab, and both of those are very logically fitting abilities if you read Manaphy's Pokedex and stuff. I mean, Hydration, Drizzle, I mean, it's a legendary, it's the same thing. But Phione essentially does what Manaphy used to do. So Phione is incredibly tanky, and a really cool thing in this hack is that the damp rock type items are buffed to give you 6 turns extra instead of 3. So you can have a lot of rain turns to abuse. So you can get Rain Dance plus damp rock, then you can Parting Shot or U-turn or Volt Switch into your Phione, or you could set it up yourself, but then you can't hold a Violite. because you need to hold Damp Rock to get enough turns out of it. Not to mention you're wasting a move slot. So you'd probably rather set it up with a faster teammate or a bulkier teammate or whatever you want to do, and then switch in to have all 4 of your moves on Phione. And if you parting shut in, then you'll have 9 full turns of rain to abuse, which is a lot. All right, and that means you can Calm Mind has 3 PP, Power Glow has 1 PP, and that's essentially Tail Glow. And then Acid Armor, I believe, has 2 PP, and Acid Armor is now buffed to give you +3 defense. So that works great on both Phione and Manaphy. All those moves are great with Phione and Manaphy. Another thing you might notice about, I'll quickly talk about Phione first. So Phione, like I said, it's very tanky. It depends on your personal preference, depends on your team composition, depends on what you would rather be using. It depends on a lot of factors on which one you use. They're both definitely equally good. They just do completely different things. Phione, I mean, I can't underestimate how bulky it is, so that's definitely a great Pokemon there. Hydration is very useful with those setup moves and that infinite recovery. You do have Rehydrate, which is just water type recover if you don't want to reuse Hydration plus Rest or Healing. And then you have Dry Skin, which is flavor-wise identical to Hydration, and that already had Hydration, so that's a logically fitting one. And there was no pure water types with Dry Skin anyway, so I figured why not just give it to Phione. That's an optional situational thing. You are very tanky, but swapping in like a Ruthless Surging Strikes is still going to chunk the hell out of your HP, so getting healed instead of taking damage is still really great. Keep in mind in this ROM hack you do have access to infinite usability capsules, so you can easily just switch between Hydration and Dry Skin depending on the situation. Not to mention Dry Skin will heal you in the rain, so either way you're really tanky, and Dry Skin healing in the rain plus the Violet, it makes you very tanky. So that's all really fun stuff with Phione. Okay, great Pokemon. Its special attack is pretty solid too. You have those great boosting options, and you do have priority and bubble shot on Phione. Manaphy not only has bubble shot priority, but it also has influx, both of which are priority moves, and those are all great. You can also abuse buffed Quick Claw in this hack. Quick Claw is a single use item now that always triggers, so you can run like Water Spout, Quick Claw. However, Water Spout Choice Scarf is probably better. And yes, I did give him Water Spout just because I felt like Manaphy, it should still be a really strong Pokemon. It's Manaphy after all. And it is only at level 70, so you'll only have that for like Hapu, maybe Gladion, and then like the League, and then post game. So it's not like it's that crazy. This music is taking forever to loop. Did I put it on loop? I did. So yeah, Choice Scarf is great. Another really cool thing Manaphy can do, so like I said, you have Drizzle and Adaptability. So Drizzle is stronger than Adaptability because it gives you a 50% boost, while Adaptability is a flat double boost. So, for example, Water type Adaptability moves are 2 times, versus with Drizzle they're 2.25. Not to mention you can abuse Rain on your teammates with Manaphy. It can be a support Pokemon. It has great special defense as well, and it's pretty tanky overall. So you can use like U-turn with Drizzle and Damp Rock, and then you can U-turn into your Rain abuser if you don't want to abuse it yourself. And the good thing about getting Influx upon evolution is that if you did delete Bubble Shot for whatever reason on Phione, you can always have more priority to use later because there is no movie learner until post game or late game, excuse me. It has a great support move pool, like I said. Charm, Befriend, Haze, Heart Swap, which is priority now. That's great for totems and for stopping sweeping Pokemon in general. Mirror Coat, like I already covered, Acid Armor and Power Glow. Baton Pass is negative priority, but that's still really nice. Not to mention Baton Pass can be a good switch move over U-turn if you want, as like a slow pivot type move on Phione, because Baton Pass being negative priority makes it function kind of like Teleport does in Gen 9, so that would be cool as like a bulky pivot with Phione. It's really fun. Again, you can Baton Pass those boosts as well. You are very tanky, so you can run full bulk with Acid Armor and Calm Mind and stuff. Keep in mind there is a lot of anti-setup stuff in this hack. A lot of Pokemon have moves like Haze, Whirlwind, Roar, which are priority moves now. Not Haze, but the other 2 are. Heart Swap is priority, and that's pretty common. There's a lot of unaware Pokemon. There's a lot of Taunt flying around, so you gotta be. It's a lot harder to set up, but it's still really good nonetheless. Power Glow is pretty early to a level 50 because they're not that fast, so you can't use Power. I mean, you could use like Power Glow Agility, but that's a lot of setup turns that you might probably not even have access to. But if you can manage to do that, then by all means go ahead. 80 base speed is very solid still. Yes, I did drop it just because I don't see Manaphy at base 100. It doesn't make any sense. Honestly, base 80 is pretty generous. I had them at 60 at one point, but 80 is a lot more reasonable. Just to make them a better Pokemon overall. Like I said, 135 special attack with Drizzle and Adaptability is an absolute nuke, so he's very powerful. And he has great coverage moves with Giga Drain, Energy Ball, Signal Beam, Aura Sphere, Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, Ice Beam, all this great stuff, Flying Rod, Power Gem. All these new moves are buffed or changed as well, so definitely give those a look. But yeah, honestly, this is pretty simple. Also, I'm getting a phone call, so I'm actually going to leave the video off here. Quickly, the last thing I want to say is that Z-Acclimate is really cool with adaptability. It gives you an Omni boost. I have to leave the video off here, though, because I do not want to re-record it. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye.